Hey, how's it going, everybody? Welcome back to another video. Unfortunately, it's another video that's a little bit rant-esque. It's so rant-esque, actually, that I had to do an earlier take before this, but I was kind of just babbling on about useless stuff. So I made a list to keep it a little bit more structured this time. And also, when I was ranting about it the first time, talking about this was kind of, and looking at the topics on my list, it's not super positive. So I just wanted to start off with something I did last week. So outside of my building, there is a small protest going on currently. It's been going on for like 4 or 5 weeks or so. And it's about some workers that got their paychecks cut. So a reduction in the money that they earn. And I wanted to show my support. I see them standing there every single day, and I just felt like, I really appreciate what you do, because I've worked low-paying jobs, and if you earn less, then that just sucks, right? Because it's always the low-paying jobs that are the hardest. So I was on my way out to go to this bakery. It's about 2 or 3 minutes walk away from where I live. And I usually go there to buy lunch for myself. But this time I picked up a random assortment of other baked goods in like a brown paper bag. And for the protesters outside my building. And the total, including my lunch, came to about 20 or so euros. It wasn't super expensive. They had like relatively decent pricing there. And I went over to the protesters, and it was kind of funny, actually, in the beginning. They didn't want to accept because, they were just like, being polite or something like that. But they finally accepted, and it wasn't like forced or awkward or anything, and they seemed very happy about it. And I asked them a little bit, why they were doing what they do, and I just said that, I really appreciate it, and I support you, So I just wanted to show that I do, actually. And they were very, very grateful, and obviously grateful for the food, because, food is a great conversation starter. But also there's a part of me that felt that they were grateful that somebody showed that they cared, right? That was actually the most important thing. So, I don't know, I felt good. And I feel that they felt very good about that as well. And I just want you to keep holding on to that $20 number as we dive a little bit deeper into this. And just knowing that whatever I'm going to say about this does not impact the real world in a way. Well, it kind of does, and it kind of doesn't. Like, you can step away from this, and it will not be a problem anymore in a way. I'm just saying that there are actions that actually do matter, is all I'm trying to say. So yeah. I'm not going to go out of my way to prove this story, by the way, so if you choose to not believe me, then that is completely up to you. The second thing that I wanted to show you is just a little clip. It's from an interview with this person right here. His name is Jeff Kaplan. He was the game director person for Overwatch. I could be a little bit wrong here, sorry. And he was relatively recently on a podcast where he talked about his experience with Blizzard and such. And I feel like this kind of describes how I currently see multi-billion-dollar gaming companies. So I'm just gonna let it play, and then it's gonna just speak for itself.
And what it boiled down for me, like what sort of ultimately broke me in my Blizzard career was I got called in the CFO's office, and he sits me down and he says, he gives me a date, which at the time was 2020 and was going to slip to 2021, but at the time it was 2020. And he said, Overwatch has to make in 2020. And then every year after that, it needs a recurring revenue. And then he says to me, if it doesn't do dollars, we're going to lay off 1,000 people, and that's going to be on you.
Yeah. So what I think that this clip shows is that a lot of these like larger corporations are just completely what's the word for it, desensitized towards normal human things, right? Just looking out for each other. And the reason I think that regarding the objects, boring name by the way, like holy, but regarding these loot boxes, is that this is not for the players, right? Like this is as far away as you can get regarding to wanting players to have a good time in your video game. This is the only reason this exists, is to achieve those numbers that Jeff here was talking about, right? Because at the end of the day, it just boils down to a board meeting with an arrow that is either green and it's going up, or it's red and it's going down. And if it's red, it's bad. If it's green, it's good. And the emotions that people show around this are completely arbitrary to them, right? To us, it's very important. But to them, I don't think it matters that much. But yeah, let's just continue. Follow the list. First on the list, this trailer is terrible. In my opinion. Like, I know that wargaming trailers aren't like the best in the entire universe, but I just thought like the music was cringe and it just like didn't look very, very good. And it was so funny that here as well, they show off like a bunch of like tier 8 vehicles, like duking it out. And then the final boss is just a regular Tasharuta. So in this game mode, you are allegedly faced with your worst nightmare, which is +3 matchmaking. Which sounds terrifying, so I will not be playing this game mode. And then they show the rewards of the different boxes, but we'll get into that a little bit later. So yeah, I also wanted to quickly go over what are loot boxes in case you press this video and you've never interacted with a loot box before. Loot boxes are things that boxes that you buy for a set price, and then you can open them and there's a random chance for certain rewards. Some rewards are guaranteed to make it a little bit more, oh, this is not gambling, just buy it for the rewards, haha. And then some rewards are very highly sought after and they have a very low likelihood. But these boxes here are very egregious and predatory because you can only buy this one. So how do you get these ones? You need to have a chance to get them inside the other boxes. So you purchase 100 of these, and then 20 of them will be these, and then a very small portion of those again will be the tier 3 boxes, which have fantastic rewards. Wow, look at this. This is so great. But you can't get them. You can't purchase this directly, right? So you're literally just rolling the dice here, which is just awful. As for the content in the boxes, people are always curious if it's worth it or not, if it's worth the investment, and the investment is a lot. This is like almost $300 for the largest pack here. So that's a lot. That's a lot of investing you gotta do. And to me, I'm not gonna be the one to answer that question for you. I think personally there are some resources in here that you need, like credits, boosters, premium accounts. Playing World of Tanks without premium account is impossible. Free experience, premium account, boosters, gold. 3D attachments are completely meaningless to me, so I'm not going to include those. And some other boosters and some ×5 missions and crew members, are always good. So for the base rewards, they are good, but they are not solely worth the price for me, at least. Because the real prize is the tanks, of course. We're playing World of Tanks, we want tanks in our loot boxes. So, are the tanks worth it? I cannot answer this for you. Because I don't want to go and say good, bad, bad, OP, good, bad, super OP, and then etc. over every single tank. Because usually the way it works is that you see a tank, you see, for example, this one is very popular, the Bzig, for example, and you think to yourself, wow, this thing looks like a piece of junk. It's not going to be worth it for you. Just don't buy it. And some people are going to look at this and they're going to see like, wow, this thing looks amazing. This is exactly what I want. And for them, it's going to be more worth it, right? So it's literally just, if you like this assortment of vehicles, it's going to be more worth it for you. But my main problem doesn't arise from the contents of the loot boxes. It arises for the boxes themselves. I think that monetization methods like these are extremely unethical and very predatory. And I just think that makes them evil. Not the people that purchase this, they are free to do so. I'll get a little bit more into that later. But just making this and putting it out into the world is evil. Because as I said, you're just looking out for your own income. And you're not wanting to provide players new content that they can just enjoy and be happy with, right? Like, let's say that there was a event, there was a game mode like this, for example. And in this game mode, you can play, and if you grind through it, you can pick one of these tanks. And if you grind through it a second time, which will take a lot of time investment, you can just pick one of these tanks. And if you grind through it a third time, you can just pick one of these vehicles. And there are no loot boxes. Maybe there are loot boxes for just these basic resources and the customization items. And maybe like the big prizes here at the bottom. Would that be so, like, insane? Like, that would just be normal, but it's just that World of Tanks has just been so packed with gambling these last couple of years that it just, saying things like that seems crazy, but it's actually just, it's just normal. Like, you could just do that. I don't think that would be difficult at all to do. So, but it doesn't make money, so we're not going to do that. So, yeah, that's why I think it's just greedy and selfish. Also, another problem is that I don't like aspects in video games that blur the lines between a video game and a casino in Las Vegas. Because there are, of course, like, kids that play video games. Maybe the age group of World of Tanks is a little bit higher. But when I started playing World of Tanks, I was like 13 years old, maybe? 13, 14 years old or so. And for them, this is just a bad influence, right? It's just bad. There's nothing good to say. It's just bad. And also just, promoting this to, other companies. They're going to be looking at this and they're going to think, EA, when they make Battlefront 3 or whatever, going to be thinking, oh man, they actually made bank with this. We're going to put tiered loot boxes into Battlefront 3. So, yeah, it just doesn't promote a healthy image for the rest of, like, other video games and stuff like that. And also, my final say here is that I have not looked into the statistics of this, but I bet your bottom dollar that this biggest pack here is nowhere near guaranteed to get everything. There's no chance. I haven't done any math behind this, but there's no way that you can get everything. It's impossible, right? And this is why I had up the holiday boxes, because I do actually buy a decent chunk of holiday boxes every single year. Because if you buy the biggest pack of holiday boxes, you are 92 or 95% likely to just get everything. You will get one of each, which is what most players want, right? So you're kind of taking a little bit of the RNG element out of it, which is good in a way. And then I don't have to spend money the entirety of the upcoming year, which I think is good. But here, if you buy this pack, you don't get... Like, it's still just complete gambling. You don't have a 95% guaranteed chance to be able to enjoy all of this. I don't know how low it is. And that is my my second point on the next point on the list here, is that if you're interested in the statistics surrounding this, I'm gonna leave a video in the description to a Iyouxin video where he went into a little bit more depth about the odds and ends of getting certain vehicles, and it's ridiculously low. And you can see how low it is because Wargaming is so generous that they give you a little bump spoon worth of loot boxes here. To just give you a taste. And they're giving you 10. Usually they're just like 3 or 1, maybe. But now they're giving you 10. It's because they're so sure that you're not going to get what you want from 10 boxes that they just seemingly give you a quote-unquote very generous amount, which is not the case. It's just, yeah. They're looking to just enable you to purchase more. My next topic is surrounding the community response that we had last time. So last time we had Raumfalte boxes, and it was the exact same content, the exact same, pretty much. You had tiered loot boxes, you had tanks in each stage, and you could, had about the same odds, I think, to get stuff. And it was huge outcry from the community. Like, I've never seen the community that upset before. And they were so upset that they were actually covering this on news articles. There were like headlines about this, of how like awful this is. Which I know that nobody reads those, but it's still kind of interesting that World of Tanks, which is a game that is just never mentioned on the global gaming scene, got mentioned because of how awful that was, how predatory, how disgusting it is, right? So that was very impressive. Thumbs up to Wargaming. Great marketing. And I also... Yeah, this was kind of a little bit of a different topic, but I just wanted to say that the videos that you see content creators make and the outcry of other people is that it's very bad, right? But I think that a lot of people still buy large quantities of this. And I'll get why, because I have a reason behind this. But I think that Wargaming is faced with like a big red button that says do not push. Because if you push the button, you get $500 million. Basically. You snap your fingers and you have $500 million. But the other thing that happens when you push the button is that people will be upset. And I don't think that Wargaming has any issue pressing that button, just slamming it every 3 months, pretty much, in order to make huge quantities of cash doing this. So, yeah. The reason for me believing that people still buy into this, after thinking that 99% people will look at this and think that this is awful and not purchase it, is that last year there was a post from a Wargaming staff member on the World of Tanks Discord, which I don't recommend you go to. But they said some, capitalist company jargon, of course. But they said that a large portion of the players we see that a large portion of the players is very upset about the new monetization methods. But we also see that a large part of the community is enjoying the new content. And at first I thought that this was just a lie. I just thought that this was complete lie, there was no truth to this. But after a year or so, and having talked to a lot of other people that just, play the game, I think that there is a very large silent part of the community that just purchases this and doesn't really care about what it is, what it stands for, or whatever. The only thing they care about is getting some extra resources and maybe getting a fun tank on the side. And I do have to mention that I have no ill intent to those people. The way you spend your money is completely up to you. In fact, I cross my fingers and I hope you get the exact rewards that you wanted. I wish you best of luck purchasing these boxes. And I wish you nothing but joy. But I'm just thinking that why would you feel the need to do this, right? Why would you feel the need to introduce tiered loot boxes? Like, this is gonna be an annual thing right now, right? Like, this is just gonna happen once a year so that Wargaming can just, cash in like crazy. But why would you feel the need to do this? Because the Christmas boxes are loved by the community. There are people on YouTube saying, they're screaming from the rooftops that, yeah, sure, spend some money, $100, $200, $300, $500 on this, because it's kind of worth it, right? So if you have such a golden goose, why do you feel to continue such aggressive monetization? Like, there was the St. Patrick's Day loot boxes earlier this year, and I got 3 of them for free somehow. I don't remember what I did, but I got 3 of them for free, and I got 1 credit booster, 2 3D attachments, and 500,000 credits. And I was thinking to myself, no, wait, it wasn't 500,000 credits, it was just boosters or something. They were trash, they were absolute garbage. And I'm just thinking, why don't you just have, the Christmas loot boxes, and then maybe another set of loot boxes on World of Tanks anniversary or something, so you have it 2 times every single year? Isn't that, a best kind of, equilibrium you want to achieve? You have loot boxes, which is the best way to make money for video game companies these days, let's be real. But you also have a community that says that they're actually worth purchasing. So everybody's happy, and then you do something like this, which just upsets everybody because it's just dumb and evil. You just look like the Emperor in Star Wars, basically sitting on top of the Death Star doing this. It's just trash. The final point I wanted to make here, because I don't want the video to go on for 6 hours, is I want to recommend the best form of protest against this, because I don't think that regular loot boxes are worth protesting anymore. We've kind of, like, that ship has sailed. Like, we don't have the opportunity for that anymore, let's be real. But I do think that this is still worth protesting to kind of, like, show your opinion to the big company, which is essentially just talking to a wall, but, you know, we might as well try. Tip number 1 is to not be hateful. Going into YouTube comments and just typing out in all caps like, oh wow, this and that, and then they can do this and that to themselves, and this and that, and this and that, is completely pointless, because you've given up on being a customer. Like, if I don't like, let's say, Burger King, for example, and I take a Whopper into my hand and I go into the restaurant and I go screaming, oh my god, Burger King is evil and they just want your money and they put like babies in their food and stuff like that, nobody's going to listen to me. It's completely pointless. But if you're, you know, writing a complaint, they're going to ignore it. But it's still kind of worth doing, because there's a chance that they'll, if enough people do that, then they'll actually listen, right? And I know that there's going to be people that say that, oh, if you like it, don't buy it. But I think you have to do it one step further, because I think that if there are people that purchase this, and there are going to be people that purchase this a lot, if their player numbers don't dwindle, they just make money and the player numbers stay the same, I think they're not going to care, like, at all. So my recommendation is that you just don't play, and I wrote /uninstall. Just go do something else. Just go watch TV, play some other games. And this is kind of a message to the people that maybe only play World of Tanks a lot and don't have a lot of other games. I promise you that there are a lot of fun games out there. Because if you just go to the front page of Steam, for example, maybe you don't even have a Steam account or something, just make one and just browse a little bit, because I promise you there are better options than World of Tanks. I think that World of Tanks is a very fun game, but it can be a little bit too much sometimes. So I just wrote a point here: explore your options. Just, if you don't have a lot of different games to go through than World of Tanks, explore your options. Just try to look for something else, just for a while, you know? And for those options, I would like to recommend a couple of games on my own. I'm gonna have to edit my Steam profile out of this, so just hang on for just a second. My first option is a game that I've been playing with a friend of mine, who I used to play World of Tanks with, and we don't play it a lot lately. It's called Riftbreaker. It's on Steam, and it is $30, and it is loads of fun. It has some DLC as well that you can buy for $30, but I don't actually think a lot of the content is locked in the DLC. It is for the story mode, but not for survival mode. But anyway, sorry, ranting. Super fun game, and you can play it in co-op with your friends. So you can, instead of buying the biggest pack of boxes, you can literally just purchase this game with all the DLC for yourself and 3 other friends, and still have some change in your pocket. So, highly recommend it. My second game is one favorite of mine. It's called Elden Ring. You might have heard of it. Super, super fun game. You can buy it for about $80 or so. For $80 you get the base game and the DLC, just full price. So absolutely insane. And also I would like to recommend Helldivers 2. It's kind of like a difficult to recommend because they're having like a little bit of a protest themselves right now, but I still think it's kind of fun to play. So you can purchase this. You can again play this with friends. You can play Elden Ring with your friends as well, and it's tons of fun. So, and that's just 3. I'm looking at my Steam library right now, and it's just like, there's like a million things I could be playing instead of World of Tanks. And also, the very, very, very best game you could be playing in form of protest is War Thunder. You could just like go to War Thunder and buff their player numbers up, because that would be hilarious. So yeah, go to the #1 competitor of World of Tanks and just give it a go. But yeah, that's my take. In summary, what do I think of this? I think it is awful. I think it's very predatory. I think it's a bad influence on both individual people and on the video game creator sphere, because promoting this as a successful form of business is just a bad thing to do. It's literally just evil. So yeah, I hope this take was a little bit more constructive. I'm gonna leave some links into the description, so be sure to check those out if you're curious. And remember that this is not what your life is about, right? If you're very upset about this, please just ignore it and go do something that actually matters and does in fact make you happy, right? So yeah, that's gonna be it for me today. I hope you enjoyed. Tell me what you think about this, but as I said, try to be constructive, try to start a conversation instead of just being hateful towards things. So yeah, thank you for watching, like and subscribe, and I'll catch you in the next one. Peace.